his statistical analysis of the Gare department, Hector Revoir dismissed Saint-Nazaire as a village of little importance, with agricultural production which was limited and of poor quality. The only positive point he noted was the view from the Roquebrune, because Revoir's analysis focused exclusively on economic production. However, at the time of his visit in 1842, Saint-Nazaire was a staging post on one of the kingdom's most important roads. There was thus an important service sector built around catering for travellers. Before the arrival of the railway and the construction of the A7 motorway, which significantly reduced the prominence of the N86 at Saint-Nazaire, the road was of a considerable importance, holding royal and even imperial status at one point in its history. The thoroughfare was sufficiently developed to withstand regular coach traffic travelling at a gallop. In the 18th century, a vast network of high-quality roads was established, branching out from Paris to reach all four corners of the country. This was important for France's economic development. At local level, this development was organised by the État du Languedoc from 1709, intensifying in the second half of the 18th century. The wholesale reconstruction of the Great Post Road, which passes Saint-Nazaire, began in around 1730, and in 1748 the famed Henri Pitot, the director of the works of the jurisdiction of Nîmes-Beaucaire, took reception of the section of the road between Bagnols and Saint-Nazaire, including parts of the notorious Roquebrune slopes. Very sensibly, the architect responsible for the road bridge doubling the Point du Gard decided to wait out a whole winter to monitor the quality of the piling and the bridge's resistance to bad weather. At the very end of the 18th century, the English traveller, highly critical of the Kingdom of France in his travel journals, nonetheless noted that in Languedoc one found truly marvellous roads. It was seen that the great Roman road, the Narbonnaise, of which large stretches remain intact, had a part to play in the Languedocian tendency to build wide roads of impressive quality. The biggest road building project ever seen in France was gradually put in place, assisted and observed by the inhabitants of Saint-Nazaire. Whilst the local populace participated in the project over the course of the 17th century, this came to a halt after 1709, when the État de Languedoc decided to cease investing in road building, farming out the work to the cheapest contractor. It may have been at this time that the course of the road was changed, where once it went round the village on the west side, it later skirted the east side of the village, as we see today. This change is described by Canon Béraud in his work on Saint-Nazaire, but unfortunately the author failed to date the event. The road thus played an important role in the life of Saint-Nazaire. The local economy reflected this, with the presence of services intending to serve road users. Over time, the village was home to woodworkers, innkeepers, merchants and blacksmiths, and also, more importantly, the hostelry, providing travellers with somewhere to sleep if they arrived after dark and too late to go on to Bagnols or Point Saint-Esprit. Visitors might also have cause to stop following mishaps on the road. Even the royal post roads were not lit after dark, and it was dangerous to travel after nightfall due to the risk of falling into a ditch, or, as happened to Voltaire on his way to visit the self-acclaimed philosopher, king and poet Frederick II in Prussia. Proximity to Bagnols meant that fewer travellers were obliged to stop at Saint-Nazaire, although the village did receive visits from royalty, including Louis VIII on the 15th of July and the 8th of August 1629, and Louis XIV, still a child, a few years later. The village was therefore unable to profit fully from its advantageous position on the road, a route of both regional and national significance, and one of strategic importance for the contemporary authorities. This trend was further reinforced by the reconstruction of the Great Post Road in the 1740s. In 1720 and 1721, however, a blockus on the Rhône, intended to prevent a plague outbreak from spreading beyond Provence, greatly increased circulation on the road. River transport was forbidden, so passengers and goods from Lyon, from the Vivarais region, or from Auvergne took the Saint-Esprit road south, obliging them to pass through Saint-Nazaire. The salt trade along the Rhône was brought to a standstill, and this valuable commodity had to be transported by coach. The quantities involved were colossal. A large part of the kingdom received its salt from the Midi. The increase in road traffic was such that practically the whole road between Lunel and Saint-Esprit was destroyed. These 2 years were a boon for the economy in Saint-Nazaire, benefiting the hostelry, local artisans, and all those whose income was wholly or partly depending on road traffic.